So I've got a bit of a problem. And the problem is that I'm a wealthy middle-aged man, and maybe I'm going through some of those midlife crisis vibes and trying to pretend I'm still cool, and maybe trying to make my 13-year-old son think I'm still cool. And I really like cars and technology too, but I don't really need a car in my regular life. I tend to ride these bikes around most of the times when I'm in town. I also really like road trips, and I live in Colorado right next to the Rocky Mountains, and there's just gorgeous road trips you could take from here, like Las Vegas and Moab and Grand Canyon and ski towns and mountains and rivers. So I love going out, but I don't even own a car right now. In fact, all I've got is this old 1999 Honda van, which I just use for my construction business. It doesn't even have any seats in the back. It's kind of bare bones accommodation. Not exactly your prime midlife crisis flashy mobile. So I've been tempted for years to buy a Tesla. A lot of people in my situation tend to end up with Teslas, and I've been holding off on the temptation. And then they brought out this beautiful Model 3 car, which instead of $100,000 is down to like $40,000 or $50,000, even more temptation. But then I thought of an idea. I thought maybe instead of buying a car where you're out $40,000 or $50,000, which is like going straight to marriage when you've hardly even met the car, I could rent the car and take it on a nice romantic date using this app that's called Turo, which is kind of like the Airbnb for cars, which I'd never tried. And just take it on a date, and then I'm only out a few $100s and see how much I really like owning a fancy, flashy electric car. So I decided to do that and take my son on a road trip to the great Colorado Sand Dunes National Park, and we will see how that turns out in this video. All right, so we are going to attempt to rent a car, a Tesla no less, on Turo for the very first time. Turo.com. So I happen to already be logged in because I created an account here. So let's just find a car. I know I need to rent it from June 5th in the morning until June 7th, because we're going to do 2 overnights down near the Great Sand Dunes in Colorado. And search. And by default, it's pretty random, the cars that come up. But if you just want a Ford Fusion or Ford Fiesta or whatever the Fords are, it's probably a better deal to get it on one of the local car rental places. Those things compete really cheap on the commodity cars. What I want to do is filter for the vehicle make Tesla, which is not available at most car rental places. So now we view the 23 results, and you see it's on a map view. Unfortunately, there's nothing right in Longmont, but if I zoom out, you could see the much wealthier city of Boulder next door has a lot of options, and the big cities have the most options. And if you sort these by price, you can see I can get a Tesla as low as $79 a day, and this one is in Boulder. But I've already kind of pre-screened a bunch of this stuff before making the video. And what I want, even though it costs more, is a Tesla Model 3. It is really kind of a fun shopping experience, optimizing one thing versus the other. So normally, what I would probably do is pick this affordable Tesla, which is $79 a day. It's got a shorter range battery, but it's really close to home. And the total cost of the trip would be a lot lower in exchange for me just charging a bit more often. Still drives like 200 odd miles on a charge. But because we want to make this an interesting trip, and we have some travel credits to use up on Turo that I'll probably not use otherwise in the near future, I'm thinking of this very fancy Model 3 Performance at almost twice the price. The only practical benefit of this is that it has a much longer range, 300 and something miles, and it's red and fancy. So we are going to see if we can book this and waste a bunch of money and possibly make a more interesting video out of it. Just remember, you don't have to do this at home. When you shop on Turo, you can also get affordable cars. Preparing your trip options. Would you like to pay for charging? I'm going to do none of this extra stuff. We don't need any protection because we're going to take risks with our own money like an insurance company. Book this car. Let's see if that one works. High risk. Yes, that's how Mr. Money Mustache lives. So on Turo, they like you to make a little note to the owner to reassure them that you're a real person and not like an irresponsible race car driver or a scammer. And I would highly recommend that with any of these social things like Craigslist or Airbnb or Turo is give them as much info as you can and make sure they know you are going to keep the car safe. Let's see if this works. Your trip is pending. You'll definitely hear back. So I'm spending $450, $467 on this high-end option. But if you think about it, that's less than the cost of owning a new fancy car like a Tesla for even 1 month. So it's kind of a neat way to get the best joy out of a high-end car without purchasing one. Let's hope it works out. We are heading down to pick up our Turo car in Lafayette, Colorado. Driving the Leaf down and then exchanging it for the long-range luxury of the Tesla. All right, we're trying to find the car. Ooh, I think I see it. Model 3 in beautiful red. So far so good. We are autopilot driving in heavy traffic and the car seems pretty smart. I like it. Walking into beautiful downtown Salida, where I've conducted a little experiment of charging this Tesla on the public charger. See if I can charge a giant battery at the slow charge overnight. If so, it'll be like just a little bit of a win. Oh good, the car is still here. So we got an astounding 58 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is about enough energy to do about $20 of gasoline driving. It cost you maybe $15 at a Tesla supercharger, and that would cost $5 at home in a home charger, or $0 in a public charger. 274 miles. So that was quite a trip, and now that it's done, I can offer my final opinion on the Turo service and the experience. And in summary, I would say it's absolutely right. It is a perfect thing to do if you want to try out a car, or not even just try, if you want to use a car that you already know that's going to work for you, car, truck, SUV, for special purposes. I think renting it from a service, whether it's like a rental agency or a Turo or borrowing it from a friend, is a way better idea than getting a specialized car for something you're only going to use part-time. Like for example, if you commute to work, but then you like having a boat and you need a truck to tow the boat, don't buy a truck and commute in that truck and then tow the boat on the weekends. Just rent the truck on the rare times that you need it and then drive like a Honda super compact, or an electric car to work and save yourself a ton of money on fuel by getting a car that works for what you use the most. And for my part, I am absolutely not going to buy myself a Tesla yet. I think I can hold off at least a couple or a few more years, and I'm just going to rent them for special occasions whenever I want. Because if you think about it, dropping $40,000 or $50,000 on a car is effectively costing you about $1,000 a month in terms of either losing that capital as investment gains, or if you borrow the money, you're paying off the car and it's depreciating the whole time. Even if you rent it once a month for a few $100s, that saves you a ton of money over owning it. I think that's a great model for almost anything that depreciates. You should look into renting before you decide to buy one for yourself. Finally, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I would ask you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And if you are thinking of renting a car on Turo, you're welcome to use my referral code, which I've put in the description. That will save you 25 bucks on your first rental, and it will kick back another 25 to me, so my son and I can do more Tesla road trips and possibly report back to you on those experiences. Thanks a lot.